You know Angel of Death by Slayer, but do you know Angel of Death by Thin Lizzy? Of course, these are two completely different songs, and both of them are fantastic, and there's a little bit of overlap in historical context as well. Now here, Thin Lizzy goes a little bit more philosophical, exploring themes about God's abandonment of the innocents, and contrasting that with the omnipresent and abiding spirit, the Angel of Death. And yes, all this from the same Thin Lizzy who wrote the hyper-catchy "The Boys Are Back in Town" from their album Jailbreak in 1976. Now this track, Angel of Death, is obviously one of their darker ones, and it comes off their 1981 album Renegade, which was a bit of a transitional album for them. And the protagonist here seems to be some sort of a time traveler, a cosmic entity, an observer of peril throughout history. He watches the unfolding of war and chaos and personal tragedy, going where the Angel of Death does its best work. And the song starts with this soupy bass and this really cool synthy sound that sounds like an air raid siren. And soon enough we get Scott Gorham and Snowy White getting those guitars galloping and setting the scene, an atmosphere rich with the air of consequence. I've seen a fire in Frisco the day the earth quaked. I've seen buildings ablazing, throwing up in flames. We look first through the eyes of the immortal observer in the 1900s in San Francisco, where a 7.9 magnitude earthquake rocked the city, causing dozens of fires that blazed for days. And because the earthquakes also damaged the water mains, the firefighters weren't left with any water with which to fight them. So the fires churned on and around 3,000 people tragically lost their lives. Phil Lynott sings, "I heard men, women, and children crying out to their God for mercy, but their God didn't listen, so they were burned alive." Well, that's a gut punch, and a definite smack against religion by Thin Lizzy here. Next, the time traveler visits some of the worldwide calamities of the 20th century. "I was hanging out in Berlin in the year 1939. I've seen Hitler's stormtroopers march right across the Maginot Line." The Maginot Line, of course, being France's well-buttressed border at the start of World War II, completely speckled with concrete defenses and trenching, and completely bypassed by the Germans with their invasion through Belgium in 1940. Things take a more prophetic turn, with visions of Holocaust and the Angel of Death that follows. These visions bring us to the realm of Nostradamus and his cryptic predictions of nuclear apocalypse. Then the lyrics move on from worldwide events to a more personal note, and ends with the agonizing death of a father. And the song rounds out again with the theme of the indifference of God in the face of suffering and tragedy. The father cries out to God only to succumb to an incurable disease and eventually even insanity. What strikes me throughout these lyrics here is that death is never romanticized, and in fact is presented by Thin Lizzy as being an ignoble tragedy that pervades through space and time. The hopelessness of it all is emphasized by the continued cries for God in the lyrics that remain unanswered. Definitely a cynical one here, but again, fantastic song. Give it a spin, let me know what you think.